This is the Low Key Podcast. I do not own the rights to the music that's being played in the background. I do not own the rights to the music that's being played in future podcasts or past podcasts. This is the Low Key Podcast, episode 39, Umbrella Corporation.
Resident Evil.
What's going on? This is the Low Key Podcast. This is episode 39, Umbrella Corporation. I'm going to be discussing a little bit about the Resident Evil franchise, somewhat about the video games and the movies. I'm pretty much talking about this because this is leading into the new reboot movie that's coming out, which is a new Resident Evil movie that's coming out. I think it's coming out for Netflix or theaters. I'm not sure. I was hearing that it was for Netflix, but maybe it's actually coming to theaters. Either way, I know it is a full-fledged reboot movie. It has nothing to do with the past movies, anything to do with Mila Jovovich character, Alice or whatever her name was in them old Resident Evil movies. It has nothing to do with these. These movies will be based on the video games. As far as I know, this is going to have the horror elements of the video games, the scares, as far as everything else, as far as dealing with the whole Umbrella Corporation, as far as the sabotages or as far as the secrets and whatnot that goes on. I don't know if they're going to dive into that stuff, but they most likely will, because I'm hearing that certain characters like Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, some of the main characters are going to be a part of this movie franchise, the new movie that they're doing as far as the reboot. So I want to talk about some of the things I want to look forward to seeing, and I'm guessing my wife is going to be joining me and try to talk about some of the things she would like to see in the new movie. I kind of played the video games. I'm not so much into the new ones, mostly because of the puzzles. I don't like John to do no puzzles, no video games, man. And a lot of those Resident Evil, especially them remakes, want you to do a lot of puzzles. They want you to find a lot of crap that I don't want to do. I want to shoot zombies. I want to try to kill zombies and all that, and that's it. It's done and over with. But when it comes to the games, I played the first one, and I'm talking about PlayStation, the first PlayStation. I played the first Resident Evil very back then, the very first one that came out. I also played Resident Evil 2, which was on the original PlayStation. I'm thinking, yeah, I did. I played Resident Evil 3 also. I didn't beat Resident Evil 1 or 2. I did beat Resident Evil 3, though. That was on the original PlayStation. After that, the last one I probably got into more was the Resident Evil 5 and 6, which was I played on Xbox 360 and Xbox One. So these, as far as the Resident Evil franchise goes, those probably was the only ones I played. The Resident Evil games, as far as 5 and 6, were more action games. They weren't even more pertaining to horror or whatnot. But when it comes to the movies, as far as the ones with Mila Jovovich in them, they were definitely action movies. They were almost like, with her having powers and stuff, it was never a horror element in those movies. None of them had no type of horror element in them. They were mostly just straight up action movies with her fighting off the zombies or these new monsters they was coming out with. Like, give or take, they did have some of the original monsters that are in Resident Evil. And then you had some characters from the game popping up here and there. It was never organized right. Not to say they have to do Resident Evil movie just like the video game, as far as not giving nothing away, but just have those elements there. And what I mean by a Resident Evil movie, I want the horror there. Resident Evil games are scary. They're not like some action-packed, what's the names? The last couple of ones they came out with, like I said, which is 5 and 6, they kind of had that action element to them. But Resident Evil games are horror. They survival horror. You don't have too many guns. You don't have too much ammo. You basically trying to use what you have to survive a situation that seems unsurvivable. And that's what Resident Evil was. Horror survival. So I'm going to let my wife get on here and give some of her intake on some of the things she probably want to see, because she does play the video games a lot more than I do.
As far as the last Resident Evil that was released, I like it. I like it better than the previous ones. as far as what I'm looking forward to, I'm not necessarily. I just don't. I love the puzzles. It's just why so many, and make sure they connected on the video game. I mean I feel as though they somewhat the movie somewhat connected to the game. I mean it did, but in certain aspects it necessarily didn't. My favorite character out of all of them is Claire. Regardless, I love Claire. The newest one, I can't think of his name. Oh my god, what's his name? Babe, what's his name? The big dude. I don't like the big dude. I mean, I like him. I don't like how they got him in the newest one, how he come out so early. Like, they didn't give us enough time to, I guess, feel the game. But I guess it's more real life, too. Nemesis is real life. That he came out too early. Like, shoot, as soon as the game started, Nemesis come out. He part of the beginning of the game. I didn't necessarily like that in the new game. As far as if it's the new movie coming out, I want to see him in a new movie. Probably a little backstory to him, not necessarily a lot, but I would like to see more of Nemesis in the movie.
I see what you're saying, and my opinion, excuse me, if they were to do Nemesis again, I don't think they're going to do it in the first movie, because Nemesis doesn't come in as far as the video game franchise until 3. But if they do this the right way, they could even have it, and not in the same way as like Marvel or anything, but if they do it the right way, as far as the movies go, they have something really scary leading up to him. Like, it's like a tease throughout maybe 2 movies, and then in that 3rd movie, as long as the movies are good, it's like we finally get him, and it's like just this unstoppable monster, but not like some goofy shit like they did with the whole movie thing, what they had him in Resident Evil Apocalypse, or whatever that shit was. Not like that. Like, I just want a nice, good build up to him, and maybe even having some type of real emotional backstory to his creation. I think they can do a lot for this, and that's another thing, not just with the horror element. I want us to care about these characters. I want characters that might die, something might happen to them, they get bit or whatnot, whatever the situation is. I want to be involved with these characters. I want us to believe these characters are going through whatever they're going through. Say what you want to say about a guy like Zack Snyder, but look what he did with Dawn of the Dead. And the whole thing with the zombie movie thing, we cared about those characters. We didn't get to know them characters that long, but we cared about these characters. And that was a good, to me, had action in it somewhat, as far as Dawn of the Dead was Zack Snyder's, but it still had that good horror element to it. And it had a lot of surprises throughout with it. So I hope that's what they're going to do as far as with the Resident Evil movie franchise reboot that they're doing. I hope they're going to have that horror in there. You don't have to follow the whole video game franchise thing. You don't have to do that. But give us some of those elements from the video games as far as characters, as far as people we like to see. But at the same time, give us some good storytelling and give us some good horror. That's what I want, because I'm not sure I'm going to even get back on them games. I probably get back on some of them old ones, because as far as the 5 and 6, I actually enjoyed them. I liked that as far as the video game aspect of just shoot them up and go on back to business. I don't want to do the whole puzzle thing. I don't want to do the whole mystery finding this key to unlock this door. I don't want to do all that. Let's just shoot the zombies. That's all I'm saying, man. But this is my opinion as far as the whole video game part of it go, because I like playing the newer ones, the remakes, just from the graphics alone. Shit looks so good. I'm like, damn, I want to enjoy this. I want to play this. But man, I get to a point where I get lost, and it's like going to YouTube to find out where you got to go and stuff. And I ain't with all that, man. I just want to go shoot some zombies. That's it. Shoot the monsters. Can we just do that without having to have some big mystery puzzle going on as far as finding some bag or some key, or putting this in place to fix this puzzle to find this door? I don't want to do all that. But as far as the movies go, yeah, let's leave all the powers out with people having powers or whatnot. Let's leave all that out. Let's make this a survival horror movie. Like, I want to see, like, man, people are feeling like they at they last, and they like it's almost a point where, like they not going, nobody gonna survive. Like I want one of those movies, like the tension is so high, like they in a situation where it seems like they should not be able to get out of. That's what we need, because that was a lot of times what the video games were. So I hope we gonna get all of that. And as far as like, I would say if I did have a favorite one, I mean, if I did have a one that I wouldn't mind as far as the old Resident Evil movie franchise, the one with Paul W.S. Anderson was directing and Mila Jovovich was starring in, I would say the first one, of course. I feel like that first one kind of had that vibe with the game. If you played that game, like I played that game when it first came out, like I said, on the original PlayStation, so it kind of had that vibe. But what I do remember about that first game is the horror. I always remember the horror of the games when I played them, even the older ones going up to now. It didn't have that horror element to it. I mean, I didn't even know who the hell Alice was as far as what he doing with her. I thought that was Jill Valentine, and he pretty much had her dressed and had Mila Jovovich's character pretty much in the aspect of being Jill Valentine. That's basically who that was. He just basically switched some things around, but only thing he really did was switch names around and added some characters. That's it. Because they still was at the mansion and whatnot, and what I'm hearing as far as the plot with the reboot is that they're doing that same element as far as the mansion thing. But see, you can do a lot with this if you are going to do that. As far as having all that good horror in there with the atmosphere, is you're going to have it claustrophobic as far as them being just clogged in together and having a situation going on where zombies are walking around or trying to get in like they did on that video game, or you're going to have a difference. Because like I didn't even finish that first video game, so it probably was all type of different monsters and stuff on there that I never even got a chance to see. So that's another thing. Like I say with the first one, let's do the zombie thing. Let's get that out the way. But you got to have all these type of different monsters as a part of the whole Resident Evil franchise. And if they were to do it the right way, they can make some really terrifying monsters, and that's what I want. I want some scary monsters and scary zombies. That's all I'm asking for. And not only, like I said, that I'm looking for some emotional characters that we can vibe to, some ones that we can relate to, and some ones we want to root for. Because, like I said, in those past movies, it was nobody you really could root for because you knew Mila Jovovich was going to come out on top either way. Even when she supposedly got shot in one of those movies, she had a clone and this, that, and the third. Like, the shit was just off the wall, man. And then nobody want to see that. But they would have, like I said, brought some a lot of more horror to that. They might have been able to do something with it, but that's not Paul W.S. Anderson type of standards of movies. You seen this shit, Mortal Kombat Death Race, yeah. But anyway, I would love for them to bring some of these villainous characters, because all the villains as far as the Resident Evil franchise go wasn't just monsters. You had those guys like Wesker, the guy with the blonde hair and the glasses. So I wonder if they're going to bring him into this at some point and try to do something with that, because you have the whole aspect of, if this is successful, is this going to be something that's going to be in the movie theaters or on a streaming service, because you can do a lot with this, even with certain elements of spinoffs. Like you can have a whole Wesker show if this is good, like seriously. And I would really love for them just to dive some more into these ultra-violent, villainous characters too. So I hope we get to see that too. But I will say that I would love to see, as far as the movies go, a lot more diversity. And I'm not saying as far as Resident Evil go. Resident Evil, to me, always kept some type of diversity in their movies. You like had all type of people in these movies. So what I'm saying is, even with comic book characters, I feel like these characters don't have to be a certain color. I feel like these are just characters. They're not the black Superman or the white Batman, and you know what I'm saying? They don't say that. They just say Superman or Batman. And I feel like these characters could be played by any type of race. So I would love for them to see if they will maybe play into that and do something with that too. But as far as just everything that's going on with the Resident Evil franchise and what they're about to do with it, I really do hope, like I said, the most important thing is having that fear and horror and having some emotional characters that we can, like I said, root for. I really hope they're going to go that route. So, like I said, man, let's see and let's hopefully find out. Only thing I have to see about is the whole Netflix or movie theater thing. But I've seen something about movie theaters, but maybe they're going to do something that's like HBO Max is doing, and Netflix distribute the movie and then they still release it in theaters. Even though I never seen Netflix do something like that, but we'll see, I guess. But if you have an opinion, let me know what y'all think as far as the Resident Evil franchise and what you would like to see. But like I said, for me, with the things I'm going to see, the things I'm looking forward to, is some really good storytelling. I hope we get some really good storytelling that can lead into a franchise, a new franchise. But thank you for tuning in, man. This is the Low Key Podcast, episode 39, Umbrella Corporation. We out.
2